So question 4.7 wants us to write down the values of x for which f of x multiplied by g of x is less or equal to 0. So in order for this to be true, it is either f of x is less than 0 or equal to 0, or our g of x is less or equal to 0. So what are we looking at? We're looking at x-intercepts and we're looking for y values that are negative. So let's start with our f of x. For our f of x, this is the point. So from the value of 2 over here, as we move down, we can see the graph is either equal to 0 or has a negative value. And we can see our g of x has a positive value. So if we multiply those, then we will definitely have a negative value. So we have identified a point. We'll start with that point over here where x is less or less than a negative to less or equal to a negative 2. Still looking at our f of x, let's look at it here, where our f of x is equal or greater or less than 0 here. But the problem is if you stretch out this graph, you will also notice that g of x is also negative. So a negative and a negative will give us a positive. So that region for us doesn't count. Now let's go ahead and look at the g of x. So for the g of x, we're looking for a point where it's either equal to 0 or less than 0, and these start over here. Right? They start over here and they go down with it. So from where x is equals to minus 2, right? Going down, when our graph is still, our f of x is still positive, we know we have met the conditions. But as soon as our f of x starts to be negative, that's when now we know a negative multiplied by a negative will give us a positive. So we need to cut it at that point. So that would be then between negative 1 and positive 6. So in between negative 1 and positive 6, if we multiply our f of x with our g of x, we will either get a value that is negative or 0.